recover the state of the game.
Yeah, back in my days, you know, we could not reconnect Dota 1. It was very hard, and I believe we could connect using RGC program, then we could connect on G-Arena.
Oh, you could, yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes you could not. The lobby just didn't work. I guess the same thing happened. 2020 is just shit, you know. The stuff's happening that we don't want to, and it's also happening to Dota.
I guess so. I guess, yeah. I mean, it looks like we're getting the panel back in position, so you won't have to be annoyed by myself and the cost for much longer, even though hopefully you're still sat there tight and having a good time. What's going on in the chat?
Chat just, you know, laughing that we want them to play outdoors. They're asking what it is.
Actually, wait, no, we don't at the moment. It's very dangerous. Stay indoors, ladies and gentlemen. So you're doing it right at the moment, yeah. You're doing the right thing for the world, staying inside. So keep yourself in. Keep watching the stream. Much more Dota to come. Of course, this is only game 1, and apparently we may just have to sort of start this game 1 yet again.
Medusa.
It's Medusa.
I
mean, that's an easy one. Look at the snakes coming off ahead. No problem at all. Yeah. But, yeah, that's, again, you can, I believe, find more of these beautiful cosplays over on the Reddit. If you do want to frequent a bit of time there. Don't frequent too much time there. Just, you know, check it out occasionally.
Don't spend too much time on Reddit. You might get too smart.
What?
What?
Well,
like there's some like really smart stuff on Reddit. What are you talking about? Like I always learn about some mechanics.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
That's impressive. Well, I believe we're going to be passing you back to the panel. I'm sure they can explain more on the current situation. I'm sure they've got all the info, all the detail. And we have a very serious panel, of course, to break down the current problem and what we're going to do to solve it. Over to Rich, BSJ, and Kyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I ultimately, though, I was here in Lacoste to talk about what we knew on Reddit. I feel like I've learned quite a few things on Reddit. Definitely not about this series, but Kyle, I'm curious, what have you learned on Reddit?
There's a few really good subreddits, actually. I've been talking to a lot of people about how you should make sure to follow the content you want to view, because the internet is actually pretty dope if you find the stuff you're looking for. So Nature is Metal is pretty dope. I think that's a really underrated subreddit.
I really like all the animals being derps and animals being jerks. I really like
that's the sort of stuff I would imagine you spent your time looking at.
I like those subreddits.
Wow, very, very wholesome answers.
I enjoy the stuff that you can't script, man. And it's just like, these are things I will never see in my lifetime if I didn't see them on the internet. And I know that's I'm trying to segue to another category that Reddit that maybe Rich explores. What do you look up on Reddit, Rich?
I actually I don't have a Reddit account. This is actually very, very serious. I never looked at Reddit until the CQ Major. That was the first time I ever went on Reddit. Then I went on the Dota 2 subreddit, and then from there I stumbled upon the
other Dota 2 subreddit?
The better one. Yeah, I learned a lot of things on that subreddit. I learned quite a lot.
What's the title of that?
True Dota 2, right? Where they have a bunch of analytical breakdowns?
No, it's a different 4-letter word.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Did you know what we have to do with this game, by the way? Did they inform you?
I'm pretty sure we have to remake it. I'm pretty sure.
You broke it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's broken, so it has to be remade. I know I'm supposed to be giving that information right now, but they're saying yes. There was a reason that I didn't talk about it, because I sat back down and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about Dota 2 smut. But I believe that this game itself was a little bit dirty, so we're going to get everything cleaned up, then we're going to jump back into it, and we all like to get down and dirty every now and then, and we'll figure out what's going on, get it rebuilt, and I'll give you as much of an update as we can as we do get back into that game. We definitely learned a lot about these teams, and we actually did watch. I think a lot of the things that you guys were talking about in the draft were definitely playing out.
Yeah, and at that point, that's really interesting, because we're just going to have a full restart, yeah, because you can't reload games. There's no functionality for that. We're still in beta. But But we were agreeing backstage, Navi was playing better, but VP's draft was just kind of unlosable. Like, they're down in kills, and they still have like a 15k gold lead almost, total map control. It's just so much easier for them to execute. But Navi did play pretty damn well. I just think that they were in an unwinnable position. So now they just have to regroup, draft better, and hopefully
Wait, so
still
when
be the
we
better
remake
team.
the game, it's not like a redo of the
New
same
draft. New draft.
Wait, what?
You can't do same draft.
Well, like,
That's what I just heard as well.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd be pretty pissed if I was VP. Like, they're up by 12k with a better draft, and you're just remaking the game.
Yeah. Well, what would you say? Is it
You definitely have to run it back with the same.
No,
draft.
you can't. No, because that's been a thing. That's like just what's it called? The legal precedent. Precedent is you just remake everything. The only time you ever replay with same draft is if it's a miscue from the draft. But I don't think you can play 30 minutes of a game and then just say, okay, guys, let's just redo it. Because there's too much information. Like it's not the same game anymore.
But there's like no information that can like solve the problems that Navi has here. Like, their draft is just
For sure.
strategically worse.
But that's what I mean, though. You have to have a new game because you've already given up too much information. You can make the same argument from the perspective of, well, you've learned so much from this game playing these two drafts against each other that now it's going to be a different game. So if you can't reload, you got to go new, truly new.
So is there any line that's drawn, like, if a team's ahead by a certain amount, that if this were to happen, they would just call it? And
Yeah, if the throne dies.
Well, I'm saying, so, like, obviously the throne not dying, is there any other conditions that could be met where you would not redo the game?
I think it's a slippery slope. If you look back, the only time we've ever had something like this, like a TI, was when Weeha accidentally offensive GG'd just before the enemy team GG'd. It wasn't malicious at all. I'm not trying to throw shade, but like Valve pretty much was like, in the rules it says if you GG, like your team loses, but it was kind of understood because someone had just all chatted. So like he was just misresponding, right? But that is like the line, and I think that any closer, and that's as close as it would get to okay, the game is actually over.
So Navi knows they're getting basically thrown a bone here.
Yeah.
This is I think out of all the tournaments I've ever casted or paneled, this is the first time this has happened.
Hey.
The first show that I was ever involved with, it was in New Orleans in 2016. It was actually the same show as the Poopocalypse. It was the same show. I don't know if you guys will remember this one, but Cat, he was, I guess, like behind the client. He was messaging his girlfriend, and the client crashed, and his like intimate messages were actually broadcasted. It was Nahaz's first tournament as well. That was actually the first show that I ever worked. I was working a different game. I was working I won't say what the game was, but I was working a different game that was like the small stage behind the Dota stage, and that was where that picture of me and Fear that's like still every now and then circulated on the internet.
What happened to your run in that game?
The stage caught on like fire actually. And the Dota stage was like siphoning power from the stage. The wires like started smoking and it caused the game to just stop. And it was another MOBA, and it was like a tower race. It was like straight up. It was a base race going on, and I just picked who won. They just let me pick. I was like, this team. It was really bad. So I think that something like this kind of needs to happen. Otherwise, a guy like me ends up picking. Like, there's no justice at all.
All right.
I can see why they had, like, you have to be pretty stern on the rules. Otherwise, there's a lot of wiggle room. Give them an inch, take a mile.
That's why you just go new. Like, that's
literally
how it
could have
is.
given me $10 too, and I would have picked.
Yeah.
I would have picked the team that you wanted.
Not even that, and that's cheap too.
Yeah.
$10, 322.
You know what I always say?
What do you always say?
$10 is $10.
I'd hold out for at least 20, but you've got to manage.
It's $20. Veno's a Veno.
That's true.
Speaking about spitting,
There was a tournament that I thankfully declined, WESG, and there were some horror stories. We saw it with our photos. I don't know if you saw
what?
that.
I love that. Was one of my favorite shows that I ever worked.
It's
that was
a different year then.
That's when Fogg and I met each other. I had to open for Adele. It was the most confusing moment in my entire career.
What?
It wasn't Adele. It was an Adele cover artist who wasn't even singing in English, but in production, just in my ear was just like, throw it to Adele, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, Adele, and then the camera shot zoomed out, so you just could see me and see somebody covering Adele, like a small silhouette person covering Adele, and behind me. my mic was still hot, and I had to react to the Adele performance the entire time. Like, I'm not even kidding right now. That was
You definitely can't make this
and
up,
that was
dude.
the first time that I met Fogged. And Fogged and I were supposed to be roommates, even though we were working different games. I was working Hearthstone, and Fogged and I were supposed to be roommates at the airport for one night before we got on our flight. And I accidentally, Fogged was out playing pubs.
Where are we going with this?
Absolutely nowhere.
I want to hear the end of this. Thank you, Kyle. Please continue.
Of all people, Kyle, a man who only has useless facts, literally spews poetry that he memorized in the 6th grade to try to attract a mate.
Yes.
When?
And just whips it out on the panel every single time. You know, throw in the towel actually comes. No, but I'm telling a legitimate, beautiful story about how Fogged and I met. There's a crazy conclusion. I tried to pivot into what was happening in the draft, and you changed the subject. But by all means, Kyle, tell me to shut up. Brian, what do you think of the draft so far?
To be quite honest with you, I haven't even really been looking at the draft. I've been captivated by your beautiful narrative that you were constructing there.
Okay,
and
okay, fine. He earned it. What's the ending of the story?
No, I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story another day.
I think we all deserve to have to wait for it.
Tune in after the stream to Rich W. Campbell for the conclusion of the story.
That is true. Remind him about Twitch Prime, brother. No, but in all seriousness, we'll talk about the draft right now. At the end of the night, we'll talk about the first time that I kicked Fogged out of a hotel room and he was homeless for a night in the middle of it's a beautiful story. But let's take a look at something else that's beautiful. That is this game. Let's look at this new draft. What are we seeing here? Because when we actually do look at what happened in the first draft, obviously that game's being completely remade, but we can try to look at it, glean as much information as we can. The main thing that Brian started to talk about, the Beast J started to talk about, was the idea that Navi had this draft that they need to somehow slow down the tempo of the game. Are we seeing something like that happen yet again, or are they going for a different route here?
I am definitely seeing it. They're taking a different approach, though. Rather than having like the Furion to distract and create pressure, they have like the makings of no matter how many items you're ahead of us by, we'll have the ability to fight you.
Yeah.
With the Spectre pick.
It also is a really just sick answer to both of these heroes, because Veno and Furion are at their strongest when they can kind of just there's stuff around them. You know, they're Tywin Lannisters. They want to just chill. The army goes out in front of them. They can kind of survey from a safe.
Reminding us that he read books again.
Subtle, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wanted to get a little more complicated than rock, paper, scissors, you know, trying to work you up slowly. You haven't been back in Dota for a while. Pretty soon we'll get to, like, the young adult reading. Anyway. Spectre just hops on top of these heroes, so you're never really safe, no matter how much your creep advantage is, how many wards you've got placed on high grounds. It's very important to have Blink Unreliant, or Reliable Initiation without a Blink Dagger.
How do you feel
Spectre
about
provides
Tiny?
Similar to the co-op last game. So last game they had like the Beastmaster Terrorblade pushing lanes, and then they picked the Queen of Pain to like run around, capitalize on this, and now they've got a Tiny. Whether or not it's a support or a mid, can absolutely do that job. I think Tiny is just super scary right now as a hero. It's not the best against Rubik. I think he's like one of the best heroes to steal spells from, but Oracle is usually like a save, and you have to target your teammate with all the stuff. It's actually really hard to target anybody that's tossed up in the air.
It's true.
So it is kind of annoying to try to save against.
Yeah, Tiny, super scary here, kind of like Voldemort, right? Right, Kyle?
He's not like Voldemort at all. Tiny would be more similar to either the Giants or perhaps the statues that McGonagall transfigured to go defend Hogwarts in the final battle. I think you really.
Spoilers.
I feel like I'm like a third wheel to like this intellectual like dick
It's not really.
He's
just making shit up.
Harry Potter.
I'm like sitting on the side, and you're like challenging him with these.
We got Super 5 at it. Let's take a look at the rest of this draft. We got Kunkka thrown into the mix here for Navi, Kyle.
Yeah, Kunkka is quite nice against the Venom as well, because you have that Rum buff that will allow you to fight through the mass damage that comes out from the Venom ulti and the Furion ult. In addition, it's really nice with Spectre because of the way damage reduction affects her, because you're dealing dispersion damage before reductions. So you're taking post-Rum, post-dispersion, like maybe 30%, let's say, of the damage received, but 100% of the damage received is being distributed as AoE damage to enemies. So it's just a sick combo and something that OG's been willing to use all the way back to like TI8 when they did the Centaur Ag stacking with the Wisp Inspector, and Ana would just like show up and be like, all right, hit me, but I'm gonna hurt you back.
I did see Navi run this off lane the other day, and I was thinking this Venom might get rotated to 5, and if they do that, this Kunkka could be in for some serious hurting in the laning stage. So I really hope this isn't an off-lane Kunkka.
Ah, no way.
They did it literally the first series of this tournament where they picked it 4th just like this, and then they ran it off-lane. So
Did they win?
No.
Then
I'm saying, like, I hope that's not what we're
Yes.
seeing here. It's, like, game plan-wise pretty nice. Gives them a reliable setup that's not heavy commitment. So once they get the X-Torrent, maybe, you know, it'll give the Spectre that nice, like, deliberation period of, do I haunt? Is this a good fight? Which is a ease of execution benefit for a hero like Spectre. And now Virtus Pro picks Void, which
we don't like that, right?
I don't love that, honestly. I don't think it's that great of a Void game.
Because you typically want to... Void's a great matchup against enemy cores that rely on elusiveness or mobility for survival. You don't typically want to go up against heroes like Spectre, which are already inviting damage. And your goal is just like to trade with them. It can work, but I prefer this Void pick to be in a spot where you've got either like a mag or some other form of damage amplification. A naked Void against all this save and damage reduction on the side of Navi is a bit scary because he's also going to be forced to protect his Veno Infuriate, who are always going to be the target.
The one thing I like about Void here, which I think is what he's going to do, is if you go like the Midas, like Manta Halberd build with the SNY thrown in there, you pretty much don't die to this Navi lineup. Like, they don't really have damage to kill the Void, so with a hero like Venom on your team, if the fight goes 30 seconds to a minute, you pretty much just win because of the damage over time is like insurmountable by any heal or sustain. So I think that the idea behind this Void is much less about the chrono and more about being this like annoying threat, but also pseudo frontliner. I think that's what he's about.
So you're saying if the Venom can last 30 seconds to a minute, though, right?
Yes. And
Kyle,
if he can manage to
be...
last any longer than Kyle, then he's going to be good to go this game.
Do you get it? You get it, Kyle? They're laughing at you too.
There were so many different directions we could have gone. We could have just had Shivra host the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, could have had Slacks come in for some memes here and there, but no. Another 20 days. God, stop! You're not even on this panel. We're at the last pick.
Well, you
guys.
said he doesn't really
Viper,
threaten Spectre, and now he
Viper is
does.
great because you can remove the dispersion. We're talking about how brutal this could be when you stack it with the Rum. Now you've got the Viper Nether Toxin that can just straight up remove the passive. Also removes passive from Rubik, and you remove Kunkka's ability to use Tidebringer, which is pretty insane. Stop giggling, Rich. The last pick for Navi. Kind of
Does it actually break Tidebringer?
It might not anymore because they made it
Because they
cool
made it
down.
a cool-
yeah.
yeah.
I think I was wrong.
So,
Not again.
question, Kyle. So last time, one of the big things with VP's draft was kind of the idea of if they got control, they would never lose it. What's the story with their draft this time?
Pretty much the same. They have more of an emphasis on teamfight, but there's no steroids. They have to play better. Navi, I don't really like this Lina last pick. I think that now their draft is just a little too squishy. They don't really have tower pressure, whereas VP are going to have now a Chrono to teamfight around, and then Viper for pressure, and Fury and Venom spamming. I still feel like, once again, VP have an easier lineup to execute, but Navi at least have options here, and their Spectre, in theory, will eventually become the hyper carry.
I think it's just easy for them to have the greater numbers on Virtus Pro. I think they're going to have some lane shoving issues. The Spectre helped, or the Lina helped with that, but when I play Spectre, I hate feeling like I have to respond to them constantly, like whatever the team's doing. And I think VP, even though they have the long cooldown of the Chrono, will always be able to make moves, always be able to create pressure somewhere, and that is just really hard for Spectre to deal with. So I agree with Kyle.
Question though, Kyle, you said something along the lines of it's going to be like a little bit harder for them to get that control, correct? When we watched the last series, it seemed like, or the last game, which obviously is no longer a part of the series, the idea was
Time turner. We had to use the time turner.
Yeah,
so
right.
Just don't interact with the past,
But it's
please.
obviously like it's still data that we can go off of, right? Like we just watched it in a certain way. Like when,
Sure.
when we're trying to jump into this one, you look at what happened in that game, even though it's no longer a part of the series, and say, okay, what did we see? Didn't it seem like Navi was kind of in a position where they were executing just a little bit better, even being behind in the draft?
Yeah, that's yeah. I think Navi was playing better. It's just a
Important thing to keep in mind, especially when the draft seemed to now be in a situation where there isn't as much disparity. But we're going to jump into the matchup and actually see what happens in this new game one.
Yeah, let's see how things go as we'll try and start this again. Okay, Lacoste, game one of Navi versus VP, and what's your sort of reckon about this? Who are we seeing sort of take the edge with the new drafts?
Looking at the first game, it feels like once again Virtus.pro, at least in my book, has a better draft. I would call it 60-40 in their favor. Like they have a global presence, both teams actually do, with either Furion or Spectre, but I feel like Faceless Void is not gonna die to like those spells. They have Lina as the last pick. I'm really not convinced that Lina is the last pick hero. They picked it for the matchup, but overall Lina just doesn't feel that strong, at least in my book. Not as 10th pick. I think you need to have something stronger.
Sure, well, like you could see it sort of work if you're sort of starting the draft or having it in the midway. You just feel that there's many better things that you can say for that gotcha pick.
She's a hero that is flexible, so she can be played at like position 4, and you can pick it much earlier, I think, and then save your last pick for something better.
Yeah, and sort of overall across the rest of the lineup, do you feel there's any other threats that Navi's going to have against VP at certain parts of the game?
I feel like this lineup that Navi has is better than what they had in game number 1, but seeing how Resolution played after, giving them away of First Blood, it's, just don't get him mad.
Yeah, I think you gotta certainly watch out for Rez, as we saw in that first bit of play that we were able to see. That he was definitely on the ball today in terms of his performance. So I think a lot of eyes are going to be on towards Rezo to make sure that they can try and do their best to shut him down, as he was really on the level. And here we go. Let's try it all again. We'll have to go for the old reset. As we say, I believe the status was that the reconnections just couldn't happen, so we have had to go for this remake here. Unfortunately, it's the only thing we can do. As hopefully we're not going to have any connection issues this time round.
What we just did when we failed, it was just we were heating up to what's coming up next. Seems like it could be another pause.
Oh no, I'm going to feel worried now. Every time we see a pause, I'm like, oh no, don't do it again, please. Come on, game. You can do this. You can hold on. Come on, server.
This is possibly a best of 3 that could go to game 4.
It could be a best of infinity. We could be stuck here in this series for the rest of our lives, Lacoste. And I know everyone watching as well. You're not going to be able to get up and leave. This is the last thing you'll ever do. Watch this series, Navi versus VP, for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, stay with us. If you're watching on your mobile phones, be sure to use your Wi-Fi instead of data.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank me later. Stay hydrated, and pause is gone. This is what we like to see.
Yes.
Thank God. They also flexed this Venomancer to position 5, and this game, just the Poison Sting, it's gonna be so annoying to play against the Treant, Venomancer, Viper. It's a lot of overtime damage. One of the reasons why they picked Viper is to break the Spectre and have like a good laner on a mid. Also, I'm a bit worried that Navi, they don't have any tower damage, so it's gonna be a problem for them.
Yeah, that's very true, really. No one that's going to feel confident going up at least early or in the mid game and punching the tower, as opposed to VP, of course, with the heroes such as the Tiny and the Prophet. Going to be very strong at that indeed. As OTW is going to walk in, take this bounty rune. He's going to be able to pick it up in time. He's not crystallized. Will be quicker with the clicker. So he gets now one. LTW forced away. Does now know that the Spectre will be laning down here. We'll see if that changes anything up for the lanes that VP want to start with. Doesn't look to be like that though, so they will keep the Void down here, supported by that Venomancer. And yeah, as you say, so Veno in the 5, I mean, is this here at the moment just good enough that that it really can work in multiple positions, or is it a little tricky in the 5?
All this hero needs is levels. Like, and when solo is playing it, you know that there's gonna be either some stacking or some deaths. Last time I saw Navi playing Kanka, like, they played it off lane. They just got destroyed by 5 men. They could not get closer. Undying was solo zoning out Grimstroke and Kanka. So, I'm wondering about this mid matchup. Have not seen it in quite some time. No one. Being very, very aggressive. Has a Fairy Fire to work with. And the Salve, of course.
He's got those mangoes out too, so he can continue to be heavy with the harassment. Top lane. The toss back. Zayats and Rezo taking a big hit though from the Tidebringer. They themselves having to be careful. In fact, Rezo, he's going to go down. A repeat of what we saw though in the initial attempt of the first game. He did give up first blood, then proceeded to totally style on Navi. So we'll see if that is going to be the case here again.
Seems like that was the winning formula.
Yeah.
Like, he's like the Hulk, but this time he understood what makes him angry and did it on purpose.
He did. He's just prepping himself for the rest of the game, Rezo, with that first death.
Also, solo should not get a point in Gale in this lane. One of the reasons why Ilias is down at the bottom lane with his Oracle could easily just be purged off.
Yeah, the consistent Poison Sting and Plague Ward spam having much less of an answer to it. Top lane, toss back there onto Bashir, able to hold his ground though with the Torrent. Resolution again, having to be careful, he goes down. And in fact, Zayats, he's got to run as well. He's hiding in the trees, he's got no regen. If Immersion can find him for that last hit, he'll get the kill, but Zayats with the Duke goes for the double bluff.
Navi, they know where he is.
Oh, and Pasha finds him with the Torrent. Navi really hitting hard on this top lane. 3 kills now up there.
I don't think we're gonna see any kills at the bottom lane. You have Oracle plus Spectre and Venomancer Faceless Void. Like, I don't see any of these heroes dying. It's a very passive lane. I'm just making it easy for our observer, you know? Just don't click on the bottom lane.
Yeah, very likely we're going to see any action down there. Mid lane, definitely could be a bit of a different story. Young G, if he steps up too far, no one starts to get the stacks going. See no one getting aggressive. At the same time, just need to respect the light strike rate. Young G trying to do his best, and it's doing well so far. 14 for 9 versus the 14 for 2. And
I was just kidding.
I was going to say, and the observer knew to ignore you, Lacoste. He was on top of it. Able to catch that one down there as they do get in under the tower and kill off Solo. Navi now 4-0.
I blame Solo. That's definitely not my fault. He was caught in a bad spot. Zayats, mid lane.
Oh, he's going to get in with the Avalanche. TP coming in. The toss, the poison isn't enough. Young G will live. Not enough burst and couldn't get the toss back to allow for the kill onto the Lenas. Young G will survive.
It's a tough start for Tiny. Like, he has 1 CS. At least he started with the boots, so like, you're relying on getting like a kill or a couple of CS so you can get to those tranquil boots, and you need to have a lot of like mangoes going on plus clarities to be efficient on the map. Right now he's really struggling, sitting at half HP. Like, if he gets too close to Lina, he could easily die.
Looking at that CS across the board right now. The Prophet, the only one to fall a little bit behind. Rezo, of course, with those early 2 deaths on him up top, leaving him in a bit of a tricky position to try and recover alone against the 2 of Navi.
Zayats with the full wraparound, but does not find anyone on the mid lane, and no one.
Maybe
Very close to level 6.
Might still be able to do something here onto Young G. Does get the toss back. Young G. And in the light strike though, and time's being bought for the TP to come in from Immersion. Zayats is still trying to chase down Young G. Cannot continue to do so, they've got to let him go. So Immersion, good reactions, keeping his mid laner alive.
It doesn't matter, it's almost even better if they didn't kill him. So Lina's now just farming the neutrals. How are we bounty-wise? 2 for 1, and seems like Virtus.pro will pick the last one.
Solo, it's going to be chased here by Crystallize. And with that final nuke from Ilias, they'll claim his life again. Another pickup for Navi. Zayat's trying to punch back onto the two of them, but Crystallize has got the stick charges. Pop out another dagger, and again with the nukes from Ilias. They claim his life as well. Double kill from the Oracle before he goes down. Resolution finally able to come over with the TP. Get a kill in return for the side of VP.
Surprised that we didn't see Resolution TPing to a mid lane, try to finish off Lina. Like, he is hero that can just TP and TP back with the scroll. Now at least they get 1 kill back. It's still 6-1, but not even 1,000 gold lead for Navi. That means that Virtus Pro is still doing a good job just, farming the lanes.
Actually bringing in the 3 at the mid. Rune will be easily grabbed by no one. No contest there from Navi around those.
That's why I didn't like Lina as the last pick. Like, you still lose the matchup to Viper. It's a burst damage against the Faceless Void. Right now, you're struggling. 30 CS, Viper has almost 20 denies. That's quite a lot.
Ilias is going to step into the Venomancer at the same time. Mid Zayat. It's in on top of Young G. Immersion's there once more to try and help the Lina out. Looking to try and grab no one away, but no one's got the reach with the poison. Will finish off Young G. Same time up top, the dive comes in from Navi. They're in on to Resolution. ILTW responding with the help of Solo. They're going to look to punish Crystallize for this dive. Crystallize trying to get away, but the slows should be too much for him to deal with. Actually going to drop the chrono for that. Was that necessary, do you think?
He had time walk in a couple of seconds,
Yeah.
You're killing Spectre just to be sure.
Sure, maybe,
It's fine. Yeah, he was holding it for too long. I thought he was just gonna use it and kill him straight away. Like, Zayat is being pain in the ass, what we call in our pubs. We call him a tryharder.
See mid, Resolution.
How many times did he come to a mid lane? Like 4 or 5 times already?
There's been a lot of focus around that area. Trying to get things going good for his mid laner.
Okay, interesting build by Pasha, not skilling both at level 6. He got 1 at level 7.
This mid lane tier 1 tower is falling pretty early, but Navi's going to do their best to hold on to this. The grab there from the X-Mark onto no one. Drags him into the combo. Navi will protect their tower. Taking down no one there as he tries to stand on the high ground and look for the siege.
Whenever someone uses absolutely perfect, you go, that's me.
In my head, Lacosta did. Look, Mum, I'm on the telly.
Invisibility.
3 for 8. It's a close opening, this one. Top of the board at the moment is that Void of ILTW. He's in the top space, and as we said, that a lot of sort of easy ways for him to sort of find the kills with the backup of no one, having that break mechanic. I mean, between the two of them, at all portions of the game, they'll have a solid way of killing the Spectre. There'll always be the saves, though, of Navi. Not only the false promise, but also that Kunkka's boat. Some classic answers to the Chronosphere.
Just TP out. It's sometimes that easy. They already used the combo. They're very limited on the stuns. What they have is Time Lock, Chronosphere, and Tiny. Rest of the heroes, you can just TP out.
Top lane. And they go with the TP. Immersion's going to be there for the follow-up catch on to the Void, but do they quite have the damage for him? Oh, with Young G coming in, they certainly do. Nice move from the Lina to sweep up top and connect there. Also, able to get that Chronosphere steal. Not something that you see this early on, at least. Immersion might just be able to do something aggressive, or may at the least save his teammates here with that Chrono. If VP do go in for this dive, which they're trying for. Getting the vision behind the tower with the Plague Wards. Let's see what they can get. Immersion and Pasha, they know that there's a lot of heroes up here hunting for them.
Haunt is ready. Spectre just farming safely in one of those lanes. She wants to use it right now. Bounty Rune spawning in 10 seconds. That's a very tough kill to get.
Yeah, they're really diving in for Pasha, but Pasha's he's a Kunkka early on. He's still pretty beefy.
Immersion positioning himself well in the trees, has a stolen Chronosphere. That's why when you play Faceless Void, you should put like 1 point in time dilation.
They get the top tower nonetheless. Navi not able to come in and bring together a defense. As VP still having the that void in the top spot. Overall net worth even down bottom. In the jungle, Resolution, he is being hunted. Straight in with the Laguna. Young G getting some big kills here. That first move up top, allowing him to kill off the Faceless Void. Now he heads down bottom, able to catch out Resolution. So some good quick movements. He's going to propel this Lina towards a sort of decent Mule Scepter timing.
Yeah, Young G is making the right moves right now on the map. You know, getting a kill on Faceless Void first, now on Nature's Prophet, and they are keeping this siege creep alive on the bottom lane. There's a rotation from Venomancer. Usually he's the guy that can defend the towers, not by himself, depending, but still the wards are maxed out, so he's gonna actually be able to do it.
Yeah, it's gonna push back the three of them. We saw both carries there, getting the Midas online at pretty much the exact same time. ILTW and Crystallize. Both ready to get their farmer going. Still though, the gap only getting bigger between them as RTW just able to get around the map that a bit more efficiently. And again, both sides are going to do their best to look to enable their carries with these big ults, the Haunt and the Chronosphere. Mid lane Immersion is going to be able to get a usage out of that stolen Chrono. Do they have the damage though to quite burst this Tiny? Oh, Immersion grabs it back and into the stolen toss. Lovely work there from the Rubik.
Perfect spell casting from Immersion. He was just wanted to use that Chrono. It was running out, and they found a good target. Like, you might not think about it, but killing that position for Tiny, who I would say did not achieve as much. Yeah, he won the lane for Viper, but they did not get as many kills. He's at the bottom of net worth, so his Blink Dagger timing is gonna be insanely bad. And he is the enabler. Like, he wants to go in, you know, try to start a fight. Other 4 heroes, you can't just, you know, blink in and land a 3-man Chrono. It's going to be very hard for them to actually start a fight without the Blink Dagger on Tiny.
And when it comes down to these more passive moments, I mean, which sort of lineup do you favour as the game goes on? Would you rather be the team behind the Spectre or the team behind the Void in this?
I'm going to go with Spectre.
Yeah,
Spectre as a late game.
2 meta right now.
Yeah. In most of the cases, but now that they have a break for 2 of her abilities, it could be a completely different story if they can keep Viper alive, you know, to use it multiple times.
Ready to make a move with the Chrono. Immersion, not really the dream target. Young G, on the other hand, though, would certainly be an appealing jump for RTW to make. As Young G, a little close here. RTW could just straight up drop the Chrono for this kill as the mid laner. It would be worth it, and there we have it. Goes in with the Chrono. Got the extra damage coming in from the side from no one. And no trouble at all finding that kill.
Yeah, Resolution with the ulti, just KSing or securing the kill. This is a lot of damage on that tier 2 tower. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, Venomancer, you know, just put some wards, doesn't matter if he dies, he's scouting for information. He's good to go. And I love this build. Like, after watching Team Secret play, I think a lot of the teams will start copying it and not just getting Veil on position 5s, but if it's not a good item for him, you know, someone else is gonna get it. It feels like a must-have item right now.
Oh, we see down bottom, actually Immersion causing some problems with the stolen Plague Wards as he lays them down. Punching in Azaias into the stolen Avalanche, and that'll do it. Sets up for Pasha to get the finishing blow with the Tidebringer. Light Strike Array into the Torrent, onto no one. Navi able to hit back hard there with the control that Immersion was able to offer.
Right now, Virtus Pro, you know, they use Chronosphere and they don't have much to offer, so they need to play around their timings. It's also a lineup that takes the Roche very easily, I would say, especially with the Venom wards. So we might see a fairly passive game from Virtus Pro until Tiny gets a Blink Dagger. And I don't think he's close. He's still on the bottom of the network chart.
See if they can go for this here. Pasha, he's got extra assistance on its way. Ilias and Immersion again, reaching from the side with the Avalanche, catches out the Veno. And Solo goes down. Navi really racking up the kills here in this game one. 15-4 right now.
Love the build on Pasha. Like a bracer, magic wand, straight into pipe. We don't see that too often, but when you're playing against Tiny Viper and Venomancer, you definitely need to get one.
We'll see the timing for the chrono come back very shortly, and as you say, that really is the tool that VP have to make things happen with. 30 seconds. And they'll be ready to go once more. Bottom lane, Immersion gets the opening here onto the Tiny. And they'll find that catch there. Immersion, this Rubik honestly feels like that he's doing a whole lot of work with the setups that he is finding.
Man, Zayats is not having a good time.
Top lane Resolution. It's going to be chased here. Pasha's going to have the control for him as the X mark into the boat comes into play with the 3 of them on him. There's nothing Resolution can do to save himself. Navi, they're just finding kills at a pace that the VP can't really match.
Immersion is all over the place. Like, Viper's also a hero that doesn't like to make rotations. It's very hard for him, you know, to move. He's not speedy. He doesn't have anything to stop the TPs with. So it's very hard. Have we heard one haunt?
I don't think there has been, really. And that's the thing. He's still as involved as he is without it. 2-1 and 8. Crystallize still able to make himself involved with the catch that his teammates offer. You know, every hero on his lineup has a long-range stun or catch to set up for this Spectre to just sweep him with the dagger.
Orchid is a very cheap item right now. Resolution will have it right now, but they have a way of dispelling it, so it's not gonna be that efficient. Tiny still 1,000 gold away from a Blink Dagger.
And here we have, as soon as the chrono's up, the smoke is out, ILTW on the hunt. Really needing to get something with this.
Pasha, with the big brain play, uses X mark on him, cuts down their mango tree.
And the line being drawn may want to go back in and try for the kill. On to this poor old Venom, and they should have it. The boat into the torrent. RV finds yet another Zayats. Is coming in to try and control Pasha. Pasha, as you mentioned, very tanky with the pipe. Is he tanky enough, though? Should be with the save of Ilias. Ilias keeping him safe from that initial magic. LL2W looking for the chrono setup. Doesn't find the space to grab the 2 of them. And with that in mind, doesn't want to commit any further. Knows that he cannot go onto Pasha with that Oracle being on the high ground. So Navi, they could just turn and kill off Zayat, knowing that the Void has already been scared off by the fact that they just don't have that way of getting to the back lines of Navi.
After Faceless Void blinked in and didn't use the Chronosphere, instead used the time dilation, he realizes, if I use the Chronosphere, it's gonna get stolen because I don't have any spells to use after. Oh, stolen Venom wards. Man, Immersion is what Resolution did in game number 1. He's carrying them from that position 4 right now.
Yeah, 3-0-10. Excellent opening from the Rubik here. Just 18 minutes in, 19-4. Bottom lane, IOTW will find his chrono target. Young G out alone. These sort of catches, these kills, it's going to be what IOTW has no trouble at all dropping a chrono for. Taking this Lina out of the game. Does mean that the Spectre's farm is only going to continue to amass. They've got to keep a little bit of a tab on to Crystallize with this Midas build.
Oh, Midas, come on.
Oh, yeah, that efficiency. There we go. Whew.
I was afraid for a second that
Solo
he's not going to use it.
He's having a rough one this time. Solo 0, 6, and 2.
Well, at least he's solo dying, not bringing any of his teammates down with him.
They're trying to make the space. Zayats, see if you could get him with a combo onto Crystallize. Did have no one around.
Radiant structures are
Crystallize did stick around a little too longer, but Crystallize is playing it safe. Mid lane Navi coming in with the format. Onto the tier 1. Fortifications out. Nothing is going to be done to keep this tower up. It's Navi claim a second tier 1.
Oh, Lina's even going for the damage build. Getting that Dragon Lance. I mean, it makes sense. You have Dragon Slave, go for the Dragon Lance, maybe get the Dragon Scale as a neutral item.
Yeah, and ultimately the Hurricane Pike is going to be very nice against these heroes like the Prophet, with the Sprout, the slows, of the Venom, even maybe for those clutch dodges of the Chronosphere. Top lane, Young G finds the catch onto the man himself. That faces Void. IOTW's been found. They blow him up. Big catch there from Young G, hunting down the Void.
thing about Navi's lineup is they can fight all the time. I wouldn't say that they need this Spectre ulti to actually take the fight, but on the other side, Virtus Pro, they are relying on Chronosphere to actually get the kills. And as time goes by, it's gonna be much harder for them to actually, you know, take a fight. If they misuse the Chrono, someone has a buyback,
Radiant's top tower
Navi
has
could
fallen.
easily take the Roche.
That's who we want to head to next. They have smoked up on Zayat's no one. Can they actually find anyone down here though? It would be underneath the tier 1 tower, so likely that Navi would be able to respond, and Navi just not letting themselves get caught out whatsoever.
Oh, would you look at that? Crystallize, going for a second item, or a third item, whatever we want to call it. BKB against the Viper, which I really like, against the Venomancer. Like, you're not gonna kill him, definitely.
Yeah, no, for sure. They do not have the damage to that BKB if they cannot break him. Bottom. Pasha. He's found a big one this time. It's Resolution caught in the boat combo. Will dodge the Light Strike Array, but does not matter. So much catch and control from Navi's lineup.
Yeah, Resolution tried to go for a play, silence him, but the nicely timed X mark into boat. Pasha's not getting full this time.
That's what I see Navi, as quickly as they make that move down bottom, they're just straight over to make another. Pasha, X mark to set up onto no one. Dragging back, do they have the damage to bring down the Viper? A little bit of a tankier target. They're bringing him low. Get the chance to turn with the Viper's trap, but Youngki comes in from the side with the Dragon Slave. The Light Strike Array also getting Zayat. Navi relentless with this pressure as they just sweep the map 24-5 at just 22 minutes in. They are just non-stop killers.
This game's looking all Navi right now. Even though it's, I'm gonna call it only 7k gold lead, man, they're relying so much on landing a sick Chronos here, but they don't have that much actually damage to throw inside. Like, what, Nether Toxin and some right clicks coming out from Nature's Prophet and Viper? I don't think that's enough. And so far, once again, in the first game, and usually, alright, he's gonna find him.
He is. Cancels the TP. Crystallize is going to be in to offer up the damage. Another kill onto Resolution. Navi hunting down VP just intently. It just does not stop.
Yeah, I wanted to say that Ilya's positioning is extremely good. Now they're setting up some Venom wards inside the pit. Oh, Pasha already knows. That's not a good plan. Bail, bail.
That's risky, unless they can find some sort of dream chronosphere from ILTW. Already though, the fight's going to start with Solo taking a boat straight to the face, into the torrent. Solo trying to get away, will be able to turn with the Gale. Zayat's
Save private Solo.
keeps him out of there. Solo will live. This Roshan area, very tricky for VP to fight in unless ILTW does get a good chrono. Still playing around the area. They don't want Navi themselves to be able to walk in and go for the Roche. Navi not with a great lineup for hitting Roshan, but a very, very strong lineup for fighting around that pit.
They have enough damage with Spectre and the Manta style. Desolate works on Roshan, but still, like, there's gonna be a Venom ward, so you can't just go in and take it. You first need to take a fight.
Yeah, Solo just building up on this area. Will allow them to go back in here. VP actually just walking straight back into the pit. Navi, they split right up across the map, despite knowing that VP were hanging around looking for this. They're going to start moving back over now, and they do have the BKB finished on Crystallize. They're back over in time to start to push VP away. Roshan falling low, about 3rd HP right now. Navi with the smoke, trying to get in position to catch them off guard. Torrent won't clip onto the Viper.
Venom is so annoying to play against. Like, Pasha doesn't care about the damage or the slow, he's just out-regioning that. But the vision the snakes provide is just too much in my opinion. I think this is the nerf that Venom needs to get in the next patch.
Oh, and Reza, what was he doing over here? Inside the jungle and right underneath the noses of Navi, he's trying to create space, and tell you what, it worked. The Chrono's out, they'll be able to get the kill and get the Aegis. As ILTW drops the Chrono to ensure that they get it, they will lose no one for it, but definitely seeming to be the idea there throwing away Resolution's life, and unfortunately for VP, no one and Solos does get them the Roshan, does get them the Aegis. I mean, is that worth it for VP?
I think the idea was, like, we're leaving no one behind, and they actually left no one.
Yeah, a bit of miscommunication.
Yeah, I don't think they understood what that means, but yeah, definitely not worth it for Virtus Pro.
And then maybe further miscommunication is, you know, no one goes down and is like, I'll die solo, and then Solo's like, you want me to die as well? No, that's not what I meant! So it gets very tricky with the names, you know, when it comes to the team comms of VP. Very hard to really iterate what they really mean to one another.
Thank God they don't have a guy named Feed the Couriers, you know.
Yeah, that's a good job. Good job they don't. Maybe on a future roster. Who knows with the crazy names of Dota 2 players. And Navi still holding on to that lead with those 3 kills despite losing the Roche and the Aegis to VP. 10k lead for them. Big item done for Young G. He's got the Daedalus. This Lena's going to be hurting if she's allowed to still stand at the back of it all. You cannot underestimate how hard and how fast the Lena hits with once that passive builds up.
If Lena goes for something like an Aghanim Scepter, she really doesn't scale, but going for these kind of items, you can still get something like a Satanic, be extremely tanky. And it's not just the Spectre, you know, they have 2 carries, actually, because Lena adjusted her item build. Virtus Pro only managed to get 5 kills so far. It comes down to that Tiny's not having a good time in this game, and his Blink Dagger was...
As foretold.
The BKB's able to focus down the Viper. Viper's out of this one. ILTW steps over towards Pasha. He's been disarmed. Jumps over, but the X-Mark drags him straight back. It's been a buyback from Ilias for this fight to keep his teammates strong. RTW is still wanting to go. He's still got that Aegis, but he's lost Solo. Rezo TPing in. Can Rezo find a target on the back of it all? They burst through the Aegis. That's ILTW down the once.
4 against 3. Spectre's gonna be full HP, they have no chrono, they need to fall back, they found Tiny.
There's another X-Mark grab onto Zayats.
Oh man, Zayat's really struggling. 0, 8, and 2 this game.
It's been a rough one for him. Rough one really for both supports of VP this game. Okay. Let's see what we have going on next. Yeah, it shows apologies for if you did lose the stream connection. We were having some problems with the connection, but hopefully you could see and hear everything now as we're back into the action. It just don't stop. Crystallize, he's in on the high ground, a little low on the mana, was trying to come in for this bounty rune timing. Feeling safe with the Oracle on the back line. He's actually getting the blink off in time as Ilias is able to get away from the Sprout. Crystallize still getting slowed, but just having this Oracle protecting him, making it so hard for VP to ever really go on this Spectre.
The seeds
Yeah,
of
both of these carries are actually so tanky, very hard to bring down unless they throw in a couple of spells. Spectre just going for that Scotty. Man, Spectre right now feels one of the best carries, if not the best carry in the game.
Mid lane. And the dust onto Solo. Pasha tries for the blind Tara, but Solo's already away.
Immersion did not die a single time this game. 5, 0, and 19.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Him and Pasha, flawless so far, 6-0, 15 on Kunkka. Smoke up from Navi. Ready
Oh, Owen,
What
I
have
don't
we
know.
seen?
Are scanning.
I'm seeing Aghanim Scepter on Kunkka.
Oh.
This is one of my favorite ones. Thor and Storm. Disruption. I mean, it's a disruptive ability, especially in the Chronosphere, finding heroes in the back lines. He also has Boots of Travel queued up. He wants to be able to deal with Nature's Prophet when he's split pushing, just TPing to a side lane, catching anyone that tries to split push. When Spectre gets Hand of Midas, like, you know that she's playing for the late game, getting that level 20 talent, level 25 extra dispersion, and the other items are gonna come quicker.
Yeah, there's this sort of building threats. But the fact, though, that ILTW is keeping up. I mean, the game is 7-31. But ILTW still able to maintain his position there in second place on the board, but he's dead.
Did
And that
not want
is
to use
the big one.
BKB.
That,
ILTW, it stands for I love to wait with my BKB.
apparently so. The biggest kill that Navi could hope for there, as I was just talking up, the one core that's really having great farm on VP, getting shut down. Crystallize also gonna find another core here by the looks of it. He's on to no one. No one trying to turn, but there's no help for this Viper.
They even have this Rubik against Viper break. Like, we've seen that in our previous series where, you know, Rubik against Viper. Same goes for Timbersaw. You steal pure damage or you just break some of the heroes. I love the item build on Spectre. Just going for tanky stuff. Manta style, BKB, so that she can't be broken.
Radiant are scanning.
And now going for full Scotty. TP is not gonna get cancelled.
Oh, they're actually gonna find the setup here top as they catch out Young G out alone on that top lane. Something you've got to be very careful about doing so when there's a Nature's Prophet in the game. Totally alone, that Lina, and we'll pay the price for it. 8-33, VP still doing their best to hold on. And just continued pressure on ILTW to perform with the Chronospheres. They're going to try for something with the smoke up. They have to either find the back lines if it is a full 5-on-5 or get one of these core pickoffs alone. Crystallize would be the dream catch. And in fact, Crystallize is down here and he's on his own. If they could get him, and they just have done so with this Chrono, Crystallize, he's going to be a goner.
Yeah.
That's the dream pick there. Finding the Lina top with Resolution, catching Young G out alone, and then moments later, Crystallize being entirely isolated on that bottom half.
Once you break the Spectre, it just doesn't feel like it's the same hero. Like, it's a completely different story. And they got 2 big kills. Even though it's a 34-9, it still feels like Virtus Pro is, you know,
Radiant
fighting
turret
back.
has been killed.
You can't feel that difference.
You know, it's, as you say, the kills do look daunting, but it's definitely a game where VP still have a shot. If they can
Radiant
continue to just make those little outplays, catch Navi out when they're least expecting it, it's going to keep them in this match. And Navi, I think, after losing Young G and Crystallize in that manner, they'll be very careful about that happening again.
Roche is up, so Cheese and Aegis. Right now, Virtus Pro does not want to take a fight. Like, they would want to get a pick off if possible.
Oh, Young G!
Young G once again.
He wanted the bounty rune. He does get it, and he's gonna be saved. So this is there with the false promise, gets him out of it. So job done. Got the rune and survived. top lane. Merchant just doing his best to nuke this out. There's another case of being a hero out on his own. Does see Resolution though in the lane, so not too worried about him coming in with the global TP, and Resolution himself just focusing on finishing off that Hex. Navi, they're going to try and sneak the Roshamp. They're into the pit and they do it very fast with the farm that Crystallize has built up. Him and Young G.
Navi, they know there's no Chronosphere ready yet, so they use this and they give Aegis to Lina. Interesting. Like when you have Spectre in the team, she's the one picking up that Aegis. But I guess they don't think she can die if Oracle is just sitting behind her. Still, a much safer play would be, you know, just give it to Spectre. She's sitting at 3.5 KHP. Lina still squishy, does not have a BKB. That could be the reason why they gave Aegis to Lina. Oh, BKB's flying out, it's here. Kanka even gets the gem. They have one Glimmer Cape and they have Shadowblade and Nature's Prophet.
And they've got to be very, very careful about Pasha getting the catches. So far this game he's been excellent at doing so now, and he's getting that bit more easier with that vision advantage. It's bottom lane, Science starting to have a poke at the tier 2 at the same time. Resolution keeping the split push up. Has that pressure on the top lane. Doing their best to keep the side lane shifting against Navi. Navi still to look for a play around mid. And they're going to get the catch onto the Faceless Void, and this time RTW just chain stunned up. No chance for him to BKB there between the disables of Navi. Zayats on the retreat. Immersion with the stolen time walk. He's able to close the gap, get in, find the vision for the Yules to cancel that TP, as Immersion will yet again set up for another kill.
I was kind of expecting a time lock after that time walk from Rubik, but it did not happen. Spectre, no ulti, but they're knocking on your tier 3 towers. Lina dishes serious amount of damage right now. Full dataless, a lot of attack range.
And it's a long minute without that Faceless Void. No ideal TW for the defense. Resolution continue to do what he can on the split. Will take down that tier 2 bottom. There's the buyback to Science. No one though, he's caught on the front, he's dead. He himself has got buyback available. The fortification comes out from VP. Can they hold this though without their 2 cores? It's going to be tricky as Navi, they stay persistent, taking down this tier 3. They're up to the barracks.
I was expecting more from no one. Like, you need to instantly buy back so no one notices that you actually died.
They didn't do it. Wasn't quick with it. Holds on to it, concedes that mid set of racks. It's gone. And there's the Hex done for Rezo. So with the split push, he still found the timings. Has that Hex, so now a second way of trying to get on top of the Oracle at the backlines. Satanic done also for ILTW, so at least a bit of a better chance of breaking his way out of the stuns that Navi are throwing at him with that boosted status resistance.
Yeah, he's been really struggling against these long duration stuns that Immersion was doing on him, and the spell casting from Navi this game, I would say, was on point, really. And he's getting closer to level 25 on Faceless Void, so backtrack. Woo. What, did Faceless Void have backtrack as like passive ability? I don't even remember.
Yeah, well, he didn't used to have time dilation. Remember back in the day? Back in the day it was a little easier to play, a fewer buttons to press. You didn't have to press W. Now you do. Makes it obviously a much.
Now he's called I love to W.
Exactly.
Now he loves pressing that time walk. Time dilation.
I was going to say there, unless he's got some funky hotkeys, or I don't quite know how Void would work in Legacy. Some big items coming out of Spell Prism. That's a bit of a juicy one for the Lina if he wants to take it. I guess it doesn't really synergize too nicely with the right-click build, but at least will mean that with the low cooldowns, he's going to constantly have the Fire His Soul passive stacked up at maximum.
It's also a very nice stats coming out from that item.
Oh, Aster. Okay, doesn't want it. Interesting. I mean, what would you rather take, the Leveler or the Paladin? The attack speed is so nice, but I guess with the Satanic, the Paladin synergizes nicely.
Feels much better.
Okay.
I mean, you can put it in your backpack, and when team fight is over, you know, if you want a team fight, just put it in and go for the buildings. Lena's keeping Flicker for now. I think they gave Spell Prism to Kanka, I believe. Like, it's a very good item on Kanka, where you're just lowering the cooldown on your Torrents and the Torrent Storm.
That's mid lane RTW. He's trying to get the info. He's got to be very careful how he commits with the Chronosphere. Already no one. He's going to be gone upon by Pasha. They're going to pop the Haunt as well, trying to go in for this solo. Puts the Poison over the Void. He's going to look for the Chrono on the backlines. Catches Youngji to get out of the BKB, but it looks like RTW's got the physical damage to bring him down, or has he? No, Youngji gets the chance to flicker off to the side. Yules it himself up. Youngji still falls though. The bashes come out from RTW's now. He jumps over to look towards a second target. The buybacks come out from no one. Another disarm onto RTW, but they push him back with the Havoc Hammer on Tiny. They're on top of the Viper, but the Spectre
gets
with
the
the
cheese off.
pop. He's going to live for now. The save as well from Ilias with that false promise, keeping the Spectre alive. But there's the Hex from Rezo onto Immersion. Immersion forced down to the low ground. RTW tries to chase him, but he's already out of reach. Immersion will live. Buybacks coming out from both sides there. In fact, VP, they're ready to try and chase him for more immediate smoke. They're up to the high ground. They found Youngji. Youngji, he brought back for this one. They found the Hex. That's a dieback from the Lina. Youngji, he's out for 2 minutes, Lacoste.
They have 2 minutes to go to the mid lane, but the lanes are being pushed in. At least the mid one, Nature's Prophet, should be able to take care of that. And now Faceless Void is level 25. How do you kill him? Like, I don't think you have enough.
They're
like,
gonna...
The backtrack plus Satanic.
I mean, they're trying. The boats are coming crashing down, but you're right. Look how effectively tanky he is with that 25. They cannot kill him. He's going to jump forward. He gets the dilation onto all of them. Rezo pots the BKB. He's trying to get away with the Invis. They've got detection on him. He gets the Nature's Wrath off in time, and now RTW is on to Crystallize. Crystallize with the BKB back up, turns over towards no one. Buyback from Rezo. He's TPing in. Can they have the control to control Pasha? Pasha's trying to run. RTW looks to jump across, won't find him, but in the Sprout, they catch out Immersion. The Rubik is gone. The Gale out onto Pasha. The save's there from Ilias with the false promise. He's trying to run. Science and RTW chase on forward. They're in onto the Kunkka. He's caught in the Sprout. The Dagger out as well, but Pasha, he's just stuck in here, surrounded by the Treants. IRTW and Pasha stay on top of him. He is so tanky though.
Oh, that back
Is he really tanky enough to live? He finally falls there, smashed down. As Navi themselves, they're going to have to come out with the buybacks. Buyback from Immersion. Buyback as well from Pasha. They catch this Void though. It doesn't look like it. IRTW is able to jump away.
I don't think they have enough to kill the Faceless Void at the moment.
Who can they catch with this Haunt though? He's into the break. Crystallize's got to be careful. He's got to step out of this puddle. He's broken. He's dilated. He haunted in for this one. The Hex is there from Rezo. This Spectre in trouble. ILTW, his BKB's back up. He commits, but Ilias in with the save. The false promise keeps the Spectre alive, and they've killed off no one. Crystallize turns over towards Resolution. BKB popping the bash. It's there. Triple kill for Pasha. ILTW, he's all alone. He's the last one left standing here for VP, and they'll kill him as well. Ultra kill for Pasha. Navi leading in confidently with that Haunt from Crystallize, and it pays off. Even with the BKB not quite back up, they couldn't kill the Spectre in time, and Ilias coming in with those clutch saves, just keeping his teammates alive.
What a great decision-making from Navi. They went for that Viper. They know that they want to take him out, so there's no break. And Spectre almost died, but Ilias once again with the clutch save.
Yeah, great Oracle showing here from him, as you said.
And they did not try to focus down the Faceless Void. They left him as the last hero to kill.
No, it's solo. Can he solo defend?
Nice pun, Nolan.
Yeah, we'll see. No one else in the game for 20 seconds this Tiny. Navi have got a big window here to do the damage. They're looking to end this one. They do have
no one has a buyback, and I'm not talking about the player.
Yeah.
Literally, no one has a buyback.
They might. Can they hold? They're gonna have Science back in. 2 heroes up. What can the supports do? Solo, not a whole lot. They get on top of him. Solo is down. The tier 4s will fall. They'll tap out. There's no hold here for VP to make, as GG is called. Navi will take this game 1. After a lot of killing, 46-14 this one ends.
Whew. At one point, I was expecting